So what are the typical steps in a sales process?
Yeah, I'll break down what the perfect sales call is. The very
Yes.
first step is when you're making a sale. The first things first is one, you have to build a list of pre-qualified suspects, right? So every sales rep should know what characteristics does a lead have to make them be considered a suspect to even reach out to, right? So you have to know that to begin with. That should be basic
Right.
101. All right, so let's say you have that. You got a couple of leads there. They match the profiles, your ICP, your ideal customer profile, and you're about to pick up the phone. Well, you need to know, well, first of all, the very first thing a sales rep has to understand is it is not their job to close every lead they call. That's not their job. Their job is to close as many qualified prospects as fast as possible. And you cannot qualify a lead until you talk to them. I know a lot of people make the mistake of thinking, well, they're in the right industry, they have the right title, they're qualified. It's not, they're not fully qualified until you have that conversation, because there's other factors that are going to go into this, right? So when you have this list and you know what your objective is, the first thing I try to tell salespeople is this: just call to see if you can help. Have that mentality. Just call to see if you can help them. And then now when it comes time to pick up the phone, you need more than that. You can't just say, well, I'm going to call, see if I can help, and just wing it. Because Captain Wing It's when there's a lot of low-hanging fruit, sales reps are great, right? They're Captain Winging it, they're doing whatever. But when the low-hanging fruit starts to dry up, that middle, they don't know how to climb that tree. That's when they run into problems. That's when sales numbers dip. So to go back to making sure they're making the perfect sales call, it's very simple. One, they have to know when they're about to pick up the phone, the first step is their opening value statement. They have to know how to pique interest and gain permission within the first 15 seconds of that call. It's really that simple. And a lot of people say, well, the phone doesn't work. They do social selling now and things of that nature. Garrett, I don't care if you use the phone, if you use email, if you use LinkedIn, you can send smoke signals. I don't care what you do to get the prospect on the phone. Getting the prospect on the phone is the easy part. And a lot of people are having so much trouble with it now, but it is actually the easy part. You have so many different tools compared to when you and I first got into sales, right? There was a phone book and a phone, go, right? Now you have the internet, you have all these ways you can get a hold of them, you have social media, et cetera, but it's getting the conversation started is step one. And so whether you're sending a tweet or you send a LinkedIn message or you send an email or you use the phone, you have to capture their attention to get them willing to want to have a conversation with you. And the best way has been proven to use the phone to do that. So your first step is if you call, they answer the phone, you have to pique interest and gain permission to continue to call. What does that mean? What it means is the old way of selling would be to try to take control. Do you remember back in the 80s, 90s, selling by phone, right? You were taught to get them on the phone, start asking probing questions, really take control, and then guide them down this path. And that just doesn't work today. It didn't really work then. You had to be really good to make it work then, okay? But there's a much better way. If I called you and I said, Garrett, there's a possibility I might be able to help SellingPower increase its memberships by about 10,000 people this year, but I would just need to ask you a few questions first to be sure. Would that be okay? Even if you like your knee-jerk reaction is to say no, you're probably going to want to know, okay, how could you do that for me? Sure, I got a second, go ahead. And now you just give, okay, great. Now, so I use an opening value statement that piques that interest, gains permission. Most salespeople mess the call up from here now. Because now that the prospect goes, yeah, I got a second, go ahead. They're like, okay, what do I do next? And so then they show up and throw up, or they start data dumping. And that's so when I break the sales process down like this. Step one, you're on home plate, you're in the batter's box, peak interest, gain permission, continue the call. They say, yes, you're on first base. Now I got to get the second. Well, how do I do that?
So well, what is your first step? Or what is your value statement when you sell yourself?
Sure. So it was exactly what I just said to you there. So if and I just made it up on the fly, right? But I'm using my formula that I teach this in the course, right? But it teaches you how to create an customized opening value statement. So the one I gave for you was, so Garrett, it's Michael at SalesBuzz. The reason for my call is a possibility I might be able to help increase your subscription rates by an additional 10,000 over the next 12 months. I just need to ask you a few questions first to be sure. Would that be okay? If I'm calling a sales director, for me, it could be something like, the reason for my call, I specialize in helping outbound sales teams overcome call reluctance. And if I caught you at a good time, I'd like to ask you a few questions to see if what we have to offer maybe some help to you. Would that be okay? I get very few people saying no to that, right? Because it's so like, I don't even care when I do it. When somebody does say no, I don't even care at that point, right? Because I'm getting such a high level of people that are saying yes.